Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, playfastfootball.blogspot.com. Today we're going to talk a little bit about teaching RPO quarterbacks. All right, last few weeks and in several videos we've talked about running RPOs, why we like them, why we want to run them, why people choose to run them. And one thing we've never really talked about in depth is the actual teaching process to the quarterback, which is to me the quintessential part of the RPO system, and I'm going to go through a couple reasons why. Really, when you watch college football games or you read things on social media, it really starts to kind of eat at you as a football coach when you start to see all the negative comments about certain systems or certain schemes. The thing that makes football great is there's no one way to skin a cat. There are several ways to do what you want to do, how you want to do it. Different personalities in this game can survive, and I think that's what makes coaching and coaching football so great is people have a way to take their own personality and philosophy and spin it into what they think can win football games. And you don't have to adhere to one set of rules to say that you've got to play a certain defense or run a certain offense to win football games. I think if you look out there in the landscape of college football, you see that you still have your military academies and Georgia Tech and schools that still run triple option. You have teams that are still pro style and old-fashioned 21, 12, 22 personnel teams. You have spread football teams. You have tempo teams. You have a team like Mississippi State who can be tempo but chose to take the air out of the football last night and give Alabama a great game. There's so many different ways to play the game of football, and I think that's what makes it so exciting. But to me as a coach and as a guy who's been a lifelong football fan, what becomes really frustrating is when people that don't understand something critique it or bash it or kind of try and rip it to shreds simply because they don't understand it. And a lot of times in football, it's a lot easier to critique something than it is to learn something. So people that don't have the capacity to want to learn something different, a lot of times will just they'll just critique and say you can't win with a 4-2-5, you can't win with a 3-4, you can't win with a 4-3, you can't win with an old wide tackle 6, or you can't win the flex bone, you can't win in the spread, you can't win with RPOs. It's easier to critique than it is to learn. So a lot of times people just knock what they don't understand. So when I hear the terms ridiculous protection offense, run power often, run people over, all right, to me those are just, it just becomes annoying to think that people don't understand that an RPO scheme is somehow different than wanting to run the football or wanting to play smash mouth football. Anybody that watched Oklahoma put up 38 points on TCU in the first half last night, when TCU was only giving up 14 or 15 points a game. And Gary Patterson is well known as one of the best defensive coaches in the country, and probably, for my money, probably one of the top 3 football coaches in the country for what he does with who he has. They put up 38 points in the first half, and they ran the ball very physically and aggressively right at TCU. So to say that if you're an RPO team, to hear people say, hey, my RPO is run power often, all right, that's great. All right, that's a great mentality. If you want to keep that mentality, if it's a joke, then it's a joke, so be it. But, there's teams running GT counter RPOs, power RPOs. There's a lot of smash mouth, hard-nosed football being run with RPOs, so I don't understand why there's such a knock. Defensively, I get it, why there's a knock on it, because when you give offensive linemen 2 to 3 yards downfield to block a run and throw a pass, yeah, that becomes a little bit of an issue. And as an offensive coach, why not take advantage of issues that might be out there that are still legal to this point right now? So, to me, it's just kind of frustrating to see people knock systems when I'm not really sure they understand exactly what the offense is trying to accomplish. So today what I'd like to talk about is why I enjoy RPO so much, why moving forward in the future, I will be a heavy RPO team. We've ran some RPOs in the past, but you got to understand that sometimes your own setting and your own circumstances will dictate what you can do and how you can do it. So in an RPO system, it is extremely quarterback driven. It's extremely quarterback intensive. when I hear people or commentators say that they don't like the fact that Gus Malzahn doesn't give his quarterback a chance to audible, or they don't like the fact that in these spread up-tempo offenses, quarterbacks aren't allowed to audible. To me, it's the most ignorant statement somebody in football can make, because the quarterback is actually given the chance to audible on every single play, and he can audible 3 to 4 different ways. And to me, that's a lot better than going up to the line with a run and a pass and checking numbers and saying, all right, run it or run this pass. So to me, what's the better audible? Having 4 to 5 different places the football can go based on what the quarterback understands, or having 2 plays that you can call at the line of scrimmage that you check and say, hey, versus this box we like this, versus this box we like that. All right, so again, to me, it's kind of annoying to hear people talk about they don't let quarterbacks audible, they don't teach their quarterbacks to audible. Actually teaching an RPO quarterback the right way, if you can get it done, all right, is very intensive teaching, and it probably requires more time, effort, and teaching than just teaching a guy to go up to the line of scrimmage with a run and a pass and check into one that he likes. Okay, so I think if you want to be an RPO team and you want to understand RPO football, I think you've got to understand how to teach the quarterback and what's involved, because it is very quarterback intensive. And a lot of the guys I talk to shy away from being an RPO team because in high school they're not really sure if they're always going to have A, the quarterback to do it, or B, the quarterback coach to teach it. All right, because there is a lot involved. All right, so in my opinion, here are the things that we're going to talk to our quarterbacks about when we want to be a heavy RPO team. And it's really, for me, until they change the rules, it's a road that I would like to go down, because who doesn't want the ability to put the football in the best place possible on every single play, including all your run plays? All right, so if you're a team that loves to run the football and you say you want to play smash mouth football and you love to be physical downhill, well, tell me any offensive coordinator that would argue with the fact that they want to be a physical downhill smash mouth football team that always has plays called into the best looks or the best numbers or the best leverage or the best angles. All right, so to me, it only makes sense to say that living in an RPO world puts you in the best of both scenarios. It's not a gimmick, all right? It's not soft, and it's running hardball football plays with a chance for the football to always be in the right spot, all right, based on what you teach your quarterback and how effective you are teaching it and he is at understanding it. And then obviously in the game, pieces are going to move, and it's easy on a whiteboard, all right? It's easy to say, read this, read that. In the game, when pieces move and looks change, that's where good quarterbacks and good coaches earn their money. But to think that it's some type of gimmick, fad, or trendy offense is ridiculous. It's great offensive football taking advantage of the rules to understand why we want to do what we want to do in a certain scenario, and that the ball can go where you want it to go. Why would you ever check with me at the line of scrimmage when your quarterback can put the ball in a place that you want the ball to go all the time? I don't. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so as an RPO team or teaching an RPO quarterback, here's the first thing I think you got to understand: we want to run the ball. All right, we would like RPOs tagged with almost every run we have. I want to RPO off of power. I want to RPO off of inside zone. I want to RPO the backside of pin and pull, buck sweep, or outside zones. I want to RPO ISO plays. Every hardball downhill run or good run scheme. I want to RPO trap. I think RPO and trap against a 5-man box in a 2x2 setting, if you're a good trap football team, I'd like to RPO the trap play. Okay, so any good hardball run scheme that you can find. And again, I would argue with any old school smash mouth football coach, I want to run the ball too. Okay, there's an old adage in football that's very simply put: when you throw the ball, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. All right, so every coach understands that. All right, every coach has heard that adage. We all want to run the ball. All right, but I also want to run the ball into good numbers, and I want to run the ball into good leverage, good angles, and I want a way to get out when the run is not there. Okay, so number one, we want to run the ball. Understand that first and foremost. And we want to run all of our base hardball runs. We don't want to get away from that just because they're RPO'd. You don't tag it with something that's soft or gimmicky on an RPO. What you do is you take your best runs and you tag your RPOs to that. All right, number 2, how many can we block? This is a big one. What are we trying to run? Do we have one back in the backfield, two backs in the backfield? Is your quarterback run a part of the RPO? Do you have a lead blocker? Do you have two blockers? How many players can we block? All right? That is, to me, one of the quintessential things you have to teach your quarterback. With the scheme that we're running, how many can we handle at the point of attack? All right? If you can't get that taught, then you're wasting your time with RPOs or anything that you're doing. Quarterback has to know how many we can handle. What is the good look for us in the box? What are we trying to get to? Okay? Who are we reading? All right, now, RPOs to me become kind of like zone blitzes back in the day where you can sit at a bar with a napkin and you can draw up a million of them, and they're all great, and that's great on paper. All right, but at the end of the day, your quarterback has to understand, based on your system, your verbiage, your terminology, who are we reading on this play? All right, it is the utmost important thing for your quarterback to understand on each RPO. Who are we reading? Because just like an option football team, if you have a dive keep read and then you have a pitch keep read, your quarterback better understand who those people are. And if fronts change or coverages change or the schemes on defense change, you better understand who you're reading. So the more RPOs you start to put in, the more extravagant you get with we're reading second level, third level, inside backer, apex player, high safety. All right, and obviously the more time you have and the more time you spend in the system, you can develop and get to that. Okay, but early on in an RPO system, I suggest you keep it real simple and read an apex player or maybe an inside backer, and then progress to a third level or an RPO off a perimeter run, reading a third level safety that's coming down or spinning. All right, but it is of the utmost importance to understand who are we reading. Okay, all those RPOs are great. They're great on paper. They're great to draw up. If your quarterback doesn't know who we're reading, and then post-snap he doesn't know when to ride and decide off of who, all right, you're not going to get the right plays, because if the certain guy triggers that you want to throw the ball off of and your quarterback's not reading them and you've got a route built in off that, then you're wasting your time. Okay, pre-snap extra defender. All right, here's the thing about the RPO system that I love, and I don't think anybody that's an offensive coach can argue this. If you want to run the football, at some point you have to have a box count, all right, or you have to have a numbers count. You have to figure out how many you have, how many they have. Okay? If you're a defensive football coach, I don't think anybody can argue that the best defenses in the country always find ways to get extra hats or eliminate gaps to send the ball where they have free hitters. You're always going to hear on defense the term free hitter, extra hitter, fast fitter. Okay? Good defensive teams find a way to send the ball to their free hitters, extra hitters, fast fitters. Okay? So as an offensive coach, it is your job to figure out where the extra hats are and how do we control them. All right? So if you tag or you pair RPOs with tempo football, and it's not a check with me system to where we're up on the ball and we are trying to run plays as fast as possible, and there's no check with me, your quarterback has to understand pre-snap, where's the extra defender? If I can block 5, where is the pre-snap number 6? All right? And if he's somewhere where I can't block him and he's not part of my post-snap read, then I've got to do something with the football. And that something could be quick game, that something could be bubble screen, smoke screen. Doesn't matter what you build into it. If the extra pre-snap defender is somewhere in position to make a play at the point of attack and you're not going to read him post-snap, then you better do something else with the football. Otherwise, it's all just smoke and mirrors and a waste of time. All right, if you want to be a tempo team and you want to be an RPO team and you want to get up on the ball and do these things, better understand where the pre-snap extra defender is and how you're going to handle that extra defender. Otherwise, it's just a gimmick, smoke and mirrors. Okay? Where should the ball go? Now we're talking about post-snap stuff. So we've done all our evaluations. There's 5 in the box. We have 5 blockers. The 6th guy who's extra is apexed out, and he's in between, splitting the difference between the tackle and number 2. If he folds in the box, I think we can still gain 3 to 4 yards. I like where he is. I'm going to stick with the play. Now where does the ball go post-snap? Okay? So when you tie all those things together, all right, with where the ball should go, that's why, or that's, I think, to me, what scares a lot of people from running RPOs. It is quarterback driven. The quarterback has to understand where the ball should go. Now, he needs to understand where the ball should go based on the teaching that the coach is doing, okay? And if you have any off-season 7-on-7, if you have any off-season time where you are allowed to watch film, or if you have some states where there are no rules and in the off-season you can do whatever you want, you go out, this is where you need to teach your quarterback. Where does the ball go? Because at the end of the day, All right, and I've had this discussion with a lot of people. To think that the offense chooses where the ball goes, to me at the end of the day is kind of backwards thinking. All right, to me the defense chooses where the ball goes. All right, and that's why as an option team, a lot of times people kind of complain about option football. Offensive coaches don't like the fact that sometimes they can't control who has the ball. So you got a great, you got a great fullback, A back or B back, or you got a great slot player or a great QB, and you run option football. First thing they're going to do is take away the best component of your option. So they're going to hammer the dive and make the quarterback pull it. Now as an offensive coach, you're sitting there going, man, my fullback can't get the ball. I've got to run trap or some type of G-belly, or I've got to not run option plays because they're taking my fullback out of the equation. All right, so to me, it's kind of, even though the offense calls the play, and even though the quarterback ends up deciding where the ball goes, to me, really, in reverse psychology, the defense chooses where the ball goes. And then a quarterback, you hear these guys talk about quarterbacks that are one-read guys and they can't get through their progressions. Well, if the offense chose where the ball went, then a one-read quarterback would be a great quarterback because we choose where the ball goes, make one read, put the ball where it goes. The reason a one-read quarterback is not good is because the defense actually chooses where the ball goes with how they decide to defend and what they decide to take away. Quarterbacks have to progress through 1, 2, 3 check down. All right? There's a reason people talk about getting the ball to the check down. No offense is drawn up to get it to the check down for 3 yards every play. All right? You don't draw up extravagant pass routes, or you don't draw up post over dig, or you don't draw up shallow drive and mesh and all these other concepts to get the ball to a check down for 3 yards every play. You draw all these plays up to take advantage of certain coverages to get the ball over the top and stretch the defense vertically. Okay, but at the end of the day, the defense chooses how they play that. If they take away those vertical stretches, then you got to come back down underneath. If they take away horizontal stretches, then you got to be able to do something else with the football. So to me, at the end of the day, the defense is going to determine where the ball goes. We got to teach our quarterback where should the ball go based on what the defense is playing. Okay, so we've got our RPO drawn up, or we've got whatever it is. All right, and for argument's sake, I'll draw it up just so, because I hear the term, so I see the term on social media and I hear it so often. RPO to me means run power often, run people over. All right, I get it, it's funny in a way, but to me it's not. To me it's not really that funny when, if you are a good football team that wants to try and move the football to the best of your ability, then why not combine the best of both worlds and run people over? And when you can't run them over because they put extra people in the box, all right, then throw the ball where it belongs and take advantage of the fact that they're trying to put extra people in the box because your adage is run people over. All right, so if you ran the power play, all right, if you ran the power play and you said to yourself, okay, pre-snap, let's take a look where he is and make sure that he's not sliding in the box and giving us a 4-3 look or into a position where we can't block him. All right. Post-snap, let's take a look at the apex player, because if we are a 20 personnel team, that's going to be the extra guy in the box. If we get this blocked up right, defense is going to try and make it spill. Then the mic, if the end spills and the mic spills the first puller, they're going to try and push the ball wide to the extra fitter. Post-snap, let's read the extra fitter. However you want to do it, for argument's sake, doesn't matter to me. You go corner, snag. All right, really doesn't matter. All right, you're going to go RPO, power. Run people over, run power often. There's your power play. If you love the power play, run it. Run it to death, keep running. All right, if you're a 21 personnel guy and you love the power play, get in 21 and run it, and then take advantage of the safeties or the quarters guys or the extra fitters. All right, to me, if you want to run power, and what offensive coach doesn't want to run power? It's my number one run scheme as well, whether I'm spread, all right, tempo, doesn't matter. I love the power play. Every offensive football coach loves the power play. So let's run power often. But while we run power often, let's also take advantage of how they can get extra guys in the box. All right, and when they get extra guys in the box, or when they try and eliminate gaps up front to send the ball to the extra fitters, let's take advantage of the guys that are trying to be extra fitters, and let's take advantage of the space that they give us while running the power play. Isn't that the best of both worlds? Let's run power often, and let's take advantage of them giving us extra fitters in the box on the fly without having to call, all right, well, we're running this, we're running this so often that now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go power pass on this, and we're going to leak him to the flat, and we're going to go snag, corner, fake the power in here. We're going to set up and throw play action pass. All right, that's a great theory after you've run the power play a million times and the teams want to stop the power play. Yeah, that's a great theory, but again, it's a call that you got to make versus their defense. So you got to hope that they're in what you think and they play it how you think they're going to play it in order for you to get a good play. All right, why not just RPO the power play and say, hey, look, we've got it where we want it. If they blitz or bring extra fitters or give us a front that we don't like, get the ball somewhere else. If they give us a matchup back here we like with one of our best players, take advantage of that matchup. If this guy slides down in the box to give it a 4-3 look, like a lot of 4-2-5 teams will do, they'll slide over in the box to make it a 4-3 look. Or if they're a 4-3 team that says, hey, there's 7 in the box, you're not going to run the ball. All right, well, let's do something with it. Okay, so to me, it's a combination of the best of both worlds to where you can run people over, you can run power off, and you can do all the things that you want to do, all right, and you can still control, at the end of the day, as an offensive coordinator, no matter how old school you are, no matter how much you want to be physical smash mouth football, to me, being able to control how the defense gets extra players into the box is the best of both worlds. I'm going to run your ass over, all right, and then after I run you over and you try and put more guys in the box, then I'm just going to pull the ball and throw it to a guy standing in open space. To me, it's just good football. Offensive coordinators, you want to control how many are in the box, where they come from, who the extra hitters are. Why would you not want to control them to the best of your ability? All right, just makes all too much sense for me. Now, maybe there's too much execution involved. Maybe you just like to keep running the power play because if it's a bad play, you get back to the line of scrimmage. That's the way you play. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think at some point in time, if you study enough football, and I think yesterday is a great day to look at it, everybody had Georgia as the #1 team in the country. Georgia was dominating. As soon as they came across the defense that they couldn't run the football against, they have nothing left. They have no other answer. All right, so you can play that style of football, and it's very conducive in high school because high school football is haves and have-nots. So when yours are better, they can put 11 in the box. It ain't going to matter. You just keep running power out. But somewhere down the line, you're going to run into a team that's as talented as you, as big as you up front, or linebackers that are better or bigger than your running backs are, and you have to have another answer. So I think if you want to play the best football possible, all right, why not combine your philosophy that says, hey, we want to run the ball right at people, we want to be smash mouth, combine it with when they want extra hitters or extra players in the box, or they're going to load the box, we can put the football in other places. And I think eventually you're going to need those answers. Whether you're Georgia, high school, Pop Warner, eventually you're going to run into somebody that's just as good, if not better than you, all right, and as you go up the ladder in football, it happens more often. So, good Pop Warner teams with talent can run whatever they want. Good middle school teams with talent can run whatever they want. Good high school teams with talent can run whatever they want. Good college teams with talent can run whatever they want 6 or 7 times a year. The other 5 or 6 times a year is going to be, that's going to determine whether you go 12-1, 13-0, or 8-5. All right, and I think you see that when you see some of these teams play. Georgia runs into an Auburn team that plays great defense, has a great front. All right, they've lost 2 games, so obviously they're not unbeatable. But they play great defense with a great front 7. Can't run the ball. You have no other answers. You have nothing else to do. All right, so statistically, I look at it and say, hey, do you want Oklahoma, who has a hard time playing defense? Okay, if Oklahoma had Auburn's defense or Oklahoma had Alabama's defense, there would be no argument in the world with who the #1 team in the country is. Now, maybe their offensive style affects how they play defense. You can make that argument too. But at the same time, why not look at the best levels of football and say, hey, what works at those levels? Who's successful every week and why? Okay, Oklahoma did it against Ohio State. So you can say whatever you want about the style of play. All right, and Baker Mayfield's a great player, but the system has a big impact on what you can do and how you can do it and how you can keep things even so that when you get into situations with teams that are better than you, okay, when is the last time Alabama's lost a game against a team that is lined up in 21 or 22 personnel and ran the football right at them? It's never happened. All right, it hasn't happened in the last 10 years, and it may not happen ever again. All right, how you beat them? RPOs, passing game mismatches, quarterback runs. All right, and then Mississippi State did a good job last night by deflating the ball, where in the past teams have gone tempo on them because they have said that wears those front guys out, we can't block them, let's wear them down. All right, but it's the same thing in college. Look at Alabama. If you want to beat Alabama, you can't do it in 21. I don't care who you are. Now somebody might do it once, so Georgia can beat Alabama. Auburn's a better offense, obviously, but Georgia could beat Alabama. Wisconsin maybe could beat Alabama. There's a lot of teams that one game could beat Alabama. But throughout the course of the last 10 years, that's not the way to do it. So those 21 personnel teams, whether they be the Michigans of the world, the Iowas of the world, or the Wisconsins or whatever. To me, every single season, they run up somewhere along the line against something that they can't run their offense against, and then all of a sudden they really have no answers. All right, so I think having answers built into the run game in the RPO world, while it's legal and while the rules are what they are, why wouldn't you want to do it? As a guy that coaches defense as well, drives you absolutely nuts to know that when you get an extra fitter in the box, they're pulling and throwing the ball off them. It's tough to defend. Okay, so at the end of the day, if you want to be an RPO team, you better teach your quarterback. You better understand how to teach your quarterback. It's very quarterback driven. It is not allowing your quarterback to audible. It's actually the antithesis or the opposite of that. You're giving your quarterback an audible 3 or 4 different ways to audible on every play. So to me, it's more of an audible than a check with me, pass play, run play, get us into one of these plays at the line of scrimmage. All right, but remember, with all these things, you won't play well until you play fast. I'll see you guys next time.